Nice.
Madam President, today has been a great day for the American people, a great day for our democracy and for bipartisanship. Some of you may know that just hours ago, over at the White House, a determined group of Republicans and Democrats led by Senator Kyrsten Sinema, Senator Rob Portman, Senator Joe Manchin, Senator Susan Collins, and a number of others announced a deal on an infrastructure package with the White House that represents the largest investment in infrastructure in a generation. And this is a big accomplishment I'll talk about in a few moments. But I also want to bring your attention to something that happened earlier today on the floor here that may just go overlooked because of the other important news of the day. By a vote of 92-8, this Senate passed the Growing Climate Solutions Act, introduced by my friend and colleague from Michigan, Senator Debbie Stabenow, the chair of the Agriculture Committee, and my friend and colleague from Indiana, Senator Mike Braun, who is my co-chair of the Climate Solutions Caucus. This bill, the Growing Climate Solutions Act, is a great example of how we can bring everyone to the table to find common ground on solutions that will protect our environment, help create jobs, and combat climate change. It'll help farmers and foresters in Delaware, in Michigan, in Texas, across our whole country. And we will benefit from changes in the way that they care for their land or forests, and it will help them to participate in carbon credit markets. It will provide a framework for rewarding America's farms and forests and those who tend them for climate-smart practices. This is a common sense, broadly bipartisan bill that will help us create a more sustainable future for our communities, our country, and our planet, with our farmers and our agriculture community taking the lead. It reminds me of another signature moment that happened just at the very end of last year, when in December the Bipartisan Energy Act of 2020 was passed. Senators Murkowski and Manchin shepherded that into law late last year, and it modernizes our country's energy policies across a dozen different major areas. Each of these bills, the Growing Climate Solutions Act and the Energy Act of 2020, were in part fostered by the Bipartisan Senate Climate Solutions Caucus. Founded in 2019, this caucus has held more than 30 events and meetings, including many focused on natural climate solutions, such as the Growing Climate Solutions Act. Every member, all 14 members of this bipartisan caucus, co-sponsored the Growing Climate Solutions Act, and I applaud Senators Stabenow and Braun for building a significant coalition here in the Senate to support it. A coalition that ranged from some of the most engaged and active environmental groups to the American Farm Bureau, one of the strongest voices for America's agricultural community. Our work on climate is far from done. Members of the Climate Solutions Caucus have introduced a whole series of bipartisan bills that would promote natural climate solutions. Senator Portman and I have the Tropical Forest and Coral Reef Conservation Reauthorization Act. Senator Shaheen is leading the Forest Incentives Program Act, Senator Rubio, the Restoring Resilient Reefs Act, and many more. We should advance these and many other bipartisan bills that every member of our caucus supports and on which we are taking the lead. Let me be clear. I support bold action on climate. I support President Biden's climate agenda, and there are many more things we can and should do. But I think it is possible for us to both move ahead on those things that have enduring bipartisan support in this chamber and across our country, and to move ahead on those things that perhaps do not yet enjoy bipartisan support, but where the need to act is urgent. Let me also, if I can, speak for a few more moments, Madam President, about the historic deal reached earlier today on infrastructure. This is about creating jobs. This is about investing in our economy and our communities and our country, and this is about strengthening the United States globally against our adversaries and competitors. I need not remind you that just 1 year ago, public health and economic crises created by the COVID-19 pandemic were ravaging communities all over our nation. And today, under the leadership of the Biden administration, COVID-19 cases and deaths are down by over 90%. More than 70% of adults over the age of 30 have been vaccinated. And as a result, businesses are opening, communities are opening, states are opening. Our unemployment rate has come down significantly, and our economy is recovering at a robust pace. But if our economy is going to be sustainable, if it's going to be long-term, if it's going to be robust, we have to make long overdue investments in infrastructure. Globally, the United States now ranks 13th in infrastructure. In every state, we have roads and bridges, tunnels, water systems that are crumbling or aged. Just in my little state of Delaware, we have more than 200 miles of highway deemed in poor condition. And as the climate continues to change, low-lying states like mine are particularly susceptible to increased damage. We had more than 10 extreme weather events causing up to $2 billion of damage in the last decade, and a lot of that damaged our infrastructure because it's built right up against the waterways, the coasts, the bays. We have one of the most important rail lines in the entire country, the Northeast Corridor, that runs right through Wilmington, Delaware. One day without service on this Northeast Corridor cost our economy $100 million. And that day isn't hypothetical. It happened during Superstorm Sandy, the hurricane that pummeled the East Coast a few years ago. Across our state and every state, infrastructure is in dire need of repair, of resiliency, and of upgrading. And doing that can help create jobs and strengthen our country. We are losing our competitive edge, and our global competitors like China are outpacing us. That's why I was so encouraged to see the bipartisan U.S. Innovation and Competitiveness Act pass this body just a few weeks ago. A key piece of it was the Bipartisan CHIPS Act that recognizes we need to invest in cutting-edge R&D, in semiconductors, and in the industries of the future. But we can't move people, capital, products, and ideas if we don't invest in our infrastructure, in the broadband, the highways, the ports, and the roads that make us competitive globally. The $559 billion in new federal spending on infrastructure that is the core of the deal announced today is a down payment on rebuilding our roads and bridges, fixing our lines and public transit, and expanding port and airport capacity. It also includes $47 billion towards climate resiliency, critically needed work to make sure that our infrastructure can sustain the growing storms all across our country. I think this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to put America on the right track. And exactly at a moment when the leaders of China and Russia are telling the world that American democracy can't work, that the riot that occurred in this building on January 6th is foreshadowing the collapse, the failure of American democracy, it's important for us to show our citizens here at home and our competitors abroad that American democracy still works and that we can deliver meaningful solutions for our states, for our country, and for the world. There's a lot more for us to accomplish on President Biden's agenda, the American Jobs Plan and American Families Plan, and we'll have to move that forward. But I think this is a day for us to celebrate, legislating together, and finding a pathway to the House and to the President's desk for the biggest investment in infrastructure of my lifetime. This is a great day for this institution and our country.